When starting out in photography, one of the hardest things to do is come up with a pricing structure which both gives value to your clients and also ensures that you get paid what you're worth. It's really difficult to come up with these figures, and so in today's video I'm going to talk through 2 ways in which you can come up with a pricing structure which is consistent, gives value to your customers and make sure that you get what you're worth. So you've been doing photography as a hobby and now you really see it as a potential source of income or even a career. And the first thing that you need to do is come up with what you're going to charge customers and clients. Now this is very difficult and there's no right or wrong way to do this. However, what I'm going to do today is share with you 2 ways in which you can come up with a pricing structure to make sure that, as I mentioned, you get what you're worth and it also provides value to your customers as well. Now the key thing here is to make sure that you don't start out by undercharging yourself, which is very difficult. You don't really know what you're worth to begin with. But if you undervalue yourself, there's 2 things. One is it's much harder to increase your prices, and the other is you're going to be working non-stop trying to make the amount of money that you need to by doing far too many jobs at far too low a price. So the first method is to come up with an hourly rate. Now this is quite common for people that do photography as a side hustle, or maybe they do it part-time as well as having another source of income as well. And this is really good for where you want a consistent rate that you can just apply to all jobs and you're not reliant upon a specific amount of income per month or per year. So what you will do is you will make this hourly rate up from time spent shooting, time spent planning, time spent editing, which of course obviously a lot of the time is actually more time than you actually spend shooting, and then you will factor all of this in. So say for example, if you believe that for every hour shooting you want an income of £20 an hour, by the time you've factored in the time spent planning, preparing, getting to the shoot and editing, it may be that that hourly rate for the customer at the back end is actually £50 per hour, because although you're only going to be shooting for 2 hours, there might be another 3 hours worth of work on top of that, and so you have to factor all that in before coming up with that final hourly figure that you're going to quote to clients. Now the big benefit of this method is that it's universal. You can apply it to any job, so whether it's a portrait session that's 2 hours, whether it's a wedding that's 10 hours or a fashion campaign that's 6 hours, you can apply that same rate to all of those jobs. Obviously if there are any additional costs or anything like that, you can add them on and I'll speak about them at the end. But it's universal, so you can apply it to all of those. One of the negatives is that it's universal, meaning that one job which may be more difficult than another, you're still charging the same rate for. So if you're doing an hour's worth of headshots, that's literally with your camera on a tripod, taking headshots for LinkedIn or for commercial purposes, you're going to be getting paid the same amount for that as you would for an hour's worth of wedding shooting, which is much more high pressure, much more fast paced. So that's one of the negatives of it. Now the second method is a much more in-depth one, and this is more for people that are wanting to do photography full-time or that need to earn a specific amount from that. And with this we're going to work out an equation basically. So we're going to take what you're wanting to earn after taxes and after expenses and everything, what you want as to be your take-home pay. So for example, if we use the average income in the UK is £30,460 for 2020, but if we average that to 30,000, so you're going to take that £30,000, that's what you want to earn. On top of that you need to add on things like your business expenses, so this is things like software, like equipment, insurances. There's a lot of those things that fall into that category. You're going to add your business expenses on top, and then on top of that you also need to add money that's set aside for taxes. So paying your tax bill at the end of the year as well. Nobody likes to do it, but we have to do it. So you add that in as well. And once you've got those added together, you've got the total amount that you need to earn over a year. So let's do this together. So if we take that 30,000, if we say that you've got £10,000 worth of expenses over the year, and then another 10,000 for your taxes. So for your tax bill and for any incidentals and things like that. So that brings up 50,000. So 50,000, if you say that you're going to have 2 weeks off for holiday, a week off at Christmas maybe, we divide that by 49 weeks. So 50,000 divided by 49 weeks is £1,020. So that means that you need to earn £1,000 a week, well, £1,020 a week in order to make that 30,000 on the back end. So from that, you need to work out how many jobs that's going to be each week. Now, for some people, it might be that you work 5 days and you do one job a day. So you'll do one job a day, maybe that's a small job and you do editing or admin in the afternoon, or maybe you will do 2 jobs on 2 days, one job on another day, and then 2 days for your admin and your editing and things. So say for example, if we were going to make that five jobs a week, that means that each job that you do has to be at least £200 or £204. And that's how you can work out what's the minimum that you need to charge for each job that you do. Now obviously it may be that some jobs are bigger than others, and again you will have to sort of adapt this a bit more, but it does mean that if you can hit that number of jobs at that minimum amount, it means that at the end of the year, when you've paid all your expenses, you've paid all your taxes, you've then got that sum, that 30,000 in this example, that you want to be getting out at the back end. So a lot of planning goes into that, and you need to really sort of have a look at a full breakdown of exactly what those expenses are, how much you're spending, how much you need to make sure that you put aside for tax, and make sure that you do that, make sure that that is put aside, and it's not getting to the time when it's getting to the end of January, your tax bill's due and you've not got the money there. Make sure that you do that planning in advance. But with that, again, it comes down to how many jobs you're going to do and how many jobs that you know that you can comfortably say that you're going to do. Once you've got that down, you know exactly what that minimum amount is going to be. It may be, if you're not going to be doing 5 jobs, if you're going to be doing sort of 10 jobs a week, if you're doing sort of much smaller, like maybe 1 hour portfolio shoots, then if you're going to be doing 10 jobs a week, then it's going to be £100 per job. So you can really adapt that one. If you're a commercial photographer, you might do 1 job a week and you can charge that £1,000 for it. It all depends on who your customers and clients are, how much you can charge for those jobs, and how long those jobs take as well. But those are just 2 different methods of how you can look at pricing your photography. I've used both of them and I've found that both of them work. They may not be right for you, but you may be able to take something from them. And just one thing that I touched on earlier that I do want to really re-emphasize, and that is travel and expenses. I know so many photographers that get absolutely rinsed for travel and expenses. They will have clients that expect them to drive 2 hours to a shoot, or get a train to a shoot and not expect them to pay for it. So say for example, if you're doing a 2 hour shoot that you're charging £200 for, but you've got to get an £85 train to get to that job. If you're not charging that £85 to the client, you've lost almost half of the income from that shoot, which means that you're out of pocket before you've even taken your camera out of your bag. So make sure that you get your travel and your expenses nailed down. Get everything into a contract. Put everything down in writing. I know so many photographers and clients that have been stung by not having contracts. If you have something written down, both parties know exactly what is expected, what they're going to get for their money from the client side, what you have to deliver to the client from the photographer's side, and at the end of it, there can be no arguing over it because it's all written down on paper and you've both seen it, both signed it. So that's another top tip as well, is once you've got your pricing, make sure that every job that you do, you get a contract done. Now, one thing that can help with giving your prices to clients is to have a rate list or a price list. Have that just saved as a PDF on your computer, or get it onto your phone so that you can just send it out to clients so that they can see that you've got everything written down and they can see exactly what they're going to get. And the main thing is, once you have decided on your pricing, be consistent. I know so many photographers that started out by just throwing random numbers at jobs thinking that that might be what they're worth. But the problem with that is, A, it doesn't look very professional, and B, it means that you can quote for one job to a client and then the next time that they come to you, you could throw a completely different figure at them, not even remembering what you quoted them last time, and they're going to be caught off guard either by a big increase, or you could actually be selling yourself short by charging them a lower price than you have done previously. So get those prices, stick to them, be consistent, and if you're getting too busy, if you're getting job after job after job and you're having to turn jobs down, that means one thing and one thing only: you're not charging enough. At that point, you need to have a look at raising those prices up. Basically, you want to be in a position where you're not overrun with jobs and turning jobs away, but also you're not struggling to find jobs. So trying to get that sweet spot will show you really what your value is and what your photography is worth. So I hope that this has been useful for you. I hope that you've got a little bit out of this. Please let me know down in the comments what you think, if you've got any other tips on how to price your photography. And the same really applies with videography or any other creative profession. It's all about knowing what you're worth and making sure that you get what you're worth. So like this video if you have, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.